Hello, and welcome to episode 233 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Hey, here's what's coming up in today's show. We have our first installment of our good news of the week.
That's super exciting.
Yep.
In our Noteworthy segment, we're discussing raising children vegan. Is it wrong to force, in air quotes, children to be vegan?
And in our main topic, does eating vegan change your DNA? We'll look at a recent study that may surprise you. But before we get into all of that jazz, what have we been up to?
Well, of course, Lucy's here. It is week 2 of Lucy's annual 2-week visit with us.
Yep, for her theater camp.
Which is just awesome. Last week went very well. She was cast as Arthur's horse in Spamalot.
Yes, which she enjoyed.
Yes, and so she got to follow Arthur around, with the pair of hollowed out coconuts.
Yes.
Making all of the clip-clopping noises. And she was also the monk who gave the speech about the holy hand grenade.
Yes.
So she had 2 really iconic roles within Spamalot, which I thought was really great. And she had a lot of fun. I did the choreography for Spamalot, or at least most of it.
Yeah.
I did wind up getting sick. And so after my Thursday rehearsal, I just kind of admitted that I was down for the count.
You were.
Couldn't breathe, couldn't talk.
Those filthy children.
Well, no, it's not that. I really do think that, since the end of the semester, I just have not been around large groups of people.
I suppose.
Until very recently.
Yeah.
So, last Saturday we were at Pittsburgh Veg Fest.
Right.
And then Monday through Thursday, I was with, a group of teenagers and, my fellow producers and directors and all of that.
Yeah.
And so it could just be that because I haven't been around a lot of people this summer, my immune system just was like, oh, we're chill.
Oh, people.
Let's just take a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, people,
germs, you're sick.
Yeah. So
that's why we're a day late, because Sam's voice was not where it needed to be yesterday.
No, much better today, which I'm grateful for. And thank you all for your patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a cold, your average nasty late summer cold.
Hey, yeah, life happens.
It does.
Life happens. What else? Oh, the lettuce parasite thing.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh,
how is the lettuce parasite in what we've been up to? Because to my knowledge, we have not been up to the lettuce parasite.
We have not, but we do eat a lot of lettuce. You're
not wrong.
As do a lot of people, both vegan and vegetarian, and even omnivores.
Certainly
can eat a lot of lettuce. So I thought we'd touch on an update of what's going on with the lettuce, even though I don't seem to believe anything I'm hearing about this outbreak.
Okay.
USA Today said that this unprecedented outbreak of cyclosporiasis, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Cyclosporiasis.
There you go. This lettuce-linked parasite infection known to be causing debilitating diarrhea. Pardon. I don't want to talk about debilitating diarrhea on the show, but it sickened more Americans than ever before, causing many consumers to avoid the produce aisle. With more than 10,000 laboratory-confirmed cases at the federal level and an additional 12,000 and counting awaiting verification, the illness continues to spread. So not all these clusters have been linked to the same source. The largest outbreak, which was centered in Michigan, was traced by the FDA back to recalled iceberg lettuce grown by produce giant Taylor Farms in central Mexico. Though federal health agencies are working to determine the root of several other clusters, lettuce has been the only food identified so far. And you may have heard that Taylor Farms is also a very large donator to the Republican Party and Donald Trump. So it is kind of interesting how it was attributed to their farms and their products. And then it was walked back like a couple of days after it was attributed to them. So I don't know what to believe, right? The Michigan Health Department has outpaced federal agencies. Big surprise.
No surprise there.
State agencies are outpacing federal agencies in every realm at this point.
It's pretty fair to say, yeah.
Yeah, so they've outpaced the federal agencies in tracking and reporting these infections. As of August 6th, the department said it had confirmed 12,485 cases since May 1st, including the first 2 deaths identified in the nationwide outbreak. The department also said that August 6th, the new cases and associated hospital visits are on the downswing and that residents can resume their regular lettuce eating habits. Taylor Farms said in July that it had immediately removed and recalled any potentially implicated lettuce and voluntarily suspended all iceberg lettuce sourcing and production from central Mexico. So anyway, are you changing your lettuce and produce buying habits because of this outbreak? We're not, mainly because we get the majority of our greens from a local farmer.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people don't have that option.
True.
So I just wanted to kind of give you an update. It's still going on. I would stay away from bagged lettuces, pre-cut lettuces. Wash everything thoroughly, even though they're saying that this type of parasite cannot be washed away.
Right.
I still think that washing it would be better than not washing it. So
always.
So wash your lettuce. Our lettuce or our salad spinner gets daily use. I use it for everything. I use it for rinsing all vegetables.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And I mean, we're getting to the point where I may be in the market for a new salad spinner. So if anybody out there has like a recommendation on like a salad spinner that they love, because there's nothing special about it.
Oh, absolutely not.
There's the pump kind. I've never had one of those. Let me know if you have a pumper and you like that one.
I feel like I used to have one of those.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Ours is a turn the thing kind of situation. But it's getting older. And like I said, it gets daily use. So it's starting to wear out. Anyway, there's that. And that's what we've been up to. Now, do you want to tell people where we're going to be in the near future?
I sure do. So, if you've been listening, you know that we did the Pittsburgh Veg Fest just 2 Saturdays ago.
We did.
And that has really been the kickoff to our fest season.
Yeah, it was like, Yin's gonna fest.
Yes. Yin's gonna fest.
Yeah.
Yes. And so now we have more fests upcoming. So next we have the Rochester Veg Fest, which is Sunday, August 23rd at Parcel 5 in Rochester. And that's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
It's a great festival.
It really is. This will be our 3rd consecutive year of vending at the Rochester Veg Fest. And we are super, super excited to go back. The following Sunday, August 30th, we will have the Buffalo Veg Fest at Delaware Park Parkside Lodge from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yeah, and they're calling that Big Bite Buffalo. So if you're looking for like Facebook posts about it, it's Big Bite Buffalo.
Yeah, and so come out for that. This is really exciting. It's been a couple of years since Buffalo has had a Veg Fest.
Yeah, it's under new
organization, and we're super excited that it is back up and running.
Yeah.
Then the following weekend, so 3 weekends in a row, we are festing essentially.
We're cooking.
So on Saturday, September 5th, we will be at the Art and Bake Sale at the Old South Onondaga General Store. That's located at 4375 South Onondaga Road in Nedrow, New York, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And that event is a fundraiser for the Syracuse Veg Collective's Vegtoberfest.
Yeah, the upcoming Vegtoberfest. And if you're not familiar with Nedrow, New York, it is just outside of Syracuse.
Yes.
So it's beautiful, hilly, beautiful country out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those are the immediate events that are coming up in our calendar. We do have more as we get into late September and October.
Yeah.
But we'll let you know more about those as the time draws nearer.
Yeah, we'll fill you in on that. If you're in like the Ontario area or the Western Central New York area,
Burlington Veg Fest.
The Burlington Veg Fest is taking place
this Saturday.
Yeah, this coming up Saturday, the 18th, I think it is. 17th. Let me look at the calendar. The 15th. Saturday the 15th, Burlington Veg Fest. I think it's still at the park, Burl Oak Park.
Yes, I believe it is.
It's also a very nice Veg Fest. We were going to go, but just too much stuff is going on.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to make it this year, but it is an absolutely wonderful festival. The park is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Highly recommend to anyone who is in the Southern Ontario area.
Lots of great food, live music. They have a lot of advocacy booths set up, which is cool. It's a really good fest, and it's only been going on for like 3 years now, 3 or 4 years.
I think this is the 4th or 5th, yeah.
And it's like the government of Burlington gets involved. It's a great thing.
It is. It's fantastic.
And if you are here in the States, you can escape the States for a day, you know?
Never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Escape the States.
Okay.
It sounds like a t-shirt or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Should we get into the show?
Let's do it.
Hey, this is the inaugural installation of the good news of the week.
I'm just loving the idea of this because who doesn't need some good news?
Yeah, well, I recently subscribed to an actual physical newspaper.
Love it.
Yeah, it's called The Good Newspaper. It's put out by goodgoodgood.org. So if you'd like, it's very reasonably priced if you'd like to get some good news in your mailbox. I believe it's monthly or bi-monthly. I'm not exactly sure. But this article comes out of The Good News from goodgoodgood.org. And it's the headline is One Birdwatcher Saved a 1,900-acre nature preserve.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So in the 1960s and 70s, elementary school teacher and avid birdwatcher Lucy Evans was a constant thorn in the side of the Palo Alto City Council in California. Hey, gotta love those thorns in the sides. Thanks to her relentless dedication to defending the Palo Alto marshlands, Evans, also known as Baylands Lucy, deferred commercial development plans until the Baylands Nature Preserve was established in 1969. Today, the 1,940-acre preserve is one of the largest tracts of undisturbed marshland remaining in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's widely considered one of the best birdwatching areas on the West Coast, with more than 150 species passing through the area. 9 years after the marshlands were first protected, the preserve renamed its central building after Evans, who was also an Audubon Society member. Decades later, the Lucy Evans Bayland Nature Interpretive Center carries on her devotion to education and ornithology with camps and classes that welcome 3,000 elementary students every year. I love this.
That's so great.
Get kids excited about preservation.
Absolutely.
And birds. I love birds.
Birds are awesome.
Yeah. Evans' love for bird watching is embedded throughout the preserve in the free binoculars dotted throughout the walking paths. Oh, that's cool. That allow visitors to take closer looks at the many hawks, gulls, cormorants, and ducks that fly through. Although Evans passed away in 1978, her legacy is carried forward by volunteers like Diana McCoy, who is a retired schoolteacher. One of her great joys is seeing children light up with excitement as various birds whiz through the preserve. They've never been out here, McCoy told the San Francisco Chronicle. We try to teach them about what these places are and why their ecosystems are important. And we have a strong underlying message of stewardship. So good news. Good news.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So thanks to Lucy Evans. Rest in peace, Lucy Evans. And thanks to the people who carry on her legacy of preservation, because stuff like that is really important.
Yes, it is.
Undisturbed land on our planet is so rare. So that was our first installment of Good News. I hope you enjoyed it.
I know I did.
The Y Files will be returning, but I think it's just going to be like maybe a once a month thing. I'm more interested in bringing good news to everybody.
I like that too, but I don't want to completely let go of bringing the strange and absurd to people either.
No, because I love it. I really enjoy, especially finding out like strange and absurd things about different species of animals. So, so it will be back, just not on a weekly basis. So
right.
Should we move on to our Noteworthy segment?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And this is coming to us from the Vegan's Voice, an article by Michael Korthel calling Raising Children in Truth. And the article asks, would you force your children into being vegan? Do you mean force, as in the same way meat eaters force their children to eat meat, yet teach them to love animals? At least by raising your child as a vegan, you never have to lie about where your food comes from. What does it really mean to force a child into a way of eating? Every parent makes food choices for their children long before children can make them for themselves. The real question is which choices are rooted in honesty, compassion, and consistency. A vegan upbringing does not ask children to love animals while also teaching them to consume them. It removes that contradiction and invites clarity from the beginning. It says your meals should reflect your values, not conceal them. It also opens the door to conversations about kindness, health, and the living world in a way that is direct rather than evasive. Children deserve the truth about where food comes from and what our choices mean for others. Raising a child vegan is not about coercion. It's about offering nourishment without violence and teaching that care for animals is not a slogan, but a practice woven into everyday life.
I really totally agree with Michael on this stance in raising children
Absolutely.
vegan. Now, we don't have any children, but if we did have children, we would have, when we went vegan, we would have encouraged them to go vegan. Now, if they were old enough to make their own choices, let them make their own choices.
Of course.
But I think when children are young, and that's when they're most, compassionate and impressionable, I think it is a better way than making sure they eat their meat. And then we all have that story of when we discovered that meat came from an animal, right? Like we found out that veal was actually baby cows,
right.
Or, that chickens were actually the chickens, the animal chickens. And almost every child, when they put that together, is upset about it.
Yeah.
And it's a conversation that many parents have to have with their kids about why we are eating certain animals and not others. And where does our compassion turn into consumerism,
Right. And I don't remember that moment in time when, I realized that, a hamburger or meatloaf was a cow and, chicken nuggets were a chicken.
Right.
I don't remember that specifically. I'm sure that moment must have occurred, but I don't remember it. What I do remember is when I was young is that I never wanted to eat the meat on my plate.
Yeah.
The only meat that I ate willingly as a kid was fish, and it was usually because it was breaded and fried.
Right, fish
It
sticks.
had nothing to do with it actually being fish.
Right.
But it was one of the few things that I thought tasted good. So I was the kid who would always eat the vegetables, who would always eat the starch,
Right.
but never wanted to eat the meat, especially if there was any kind of visible fat, skin, bones.
Anything that made it look like
it came from an animal.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it wasn't just that I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the way it tasted.
Yeah.
I didn't like it texturally. I didn't like the flavor.
Yeah.
But I was always told I had to eat it.
Right.
And I don't remember the shift. Like, when did I go from actively not wanting to consume meat to consuming it regularly without a thought?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder, when did that happen?
I don't know.
And I honestly don't know.
You probably don't remember it. That's how conditioning works.
Right.
That you just, you've been eating this and you grew to accept it and then eventually grew to like the taste of it because you will. If you don't like something, eat it a few times. You will develop a taste for it.
That's true. That can be true.
Yeah.
It's not always true, but it can be true.
Not
like,
100%.
for example, I never liked mushrooms growing up. And, until the last few years, to be honest, I would actively try to avoid mushrooms in my food. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They're not my favorite thing. I like the flavor. I don't always like the texture.
Right.
So sometimes I enjoy them thoroughly, and sometimes I'm like, these are a little bit slimy for me. It just depends on what type of mushroom we're talking about and how it's cooked.
A lot of people have that, that textural sensation thing with certain foods.
And yes, tastes can change. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But I never got to a point where I was willing to eat meat where there was visible fat, skin, bones. Never. So it is really interesting to me that obviously that changed. Like, I stopped raising objections at some point.
Right.
And I don't remember when that was.
I think as children, we just give in eventually.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
guess so.
It's like a fight we're not going to win. And so
Right.
you just give in eventually. Yeah, I too was not a huge fan of meat products when I was a kid. I really vividly remember like chewing on meat and just like chewing it until it was so dry I couldn't swallow it.
I remember that too.
But
yes.
not really wanting it.
Just right. And like almost not being able to swallow it.
Yeah, not being able to swallow it. But yeah, you have to eat your meat. You're not going to get any pudding if you don't eat your meat. Right? Isn't that what Pink Floyd says?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How can you have your... I don't know how that goes.
I don't either.
I'm going to stop with the bad English accent.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah. So anyway, I totally agree that, I mean, I guess you can say it's forcing. I mean, when you're raising a child, you are essentially, you're in charge of what's going in their mouth. So,
but I'm sorry, because very few people would actually look at the diet that an omnivorous family imposes on their children and talk about that being forced
onto them. Yeah.
So I think the language is problematic.
Yeah. Well, that's why he uses quotations.
Absolutely. So the language here is problematic.
Yeah.
No, parents are making dietary choices for their children before the children are old enough and informed enough to do it themselves.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's completely fine. That's as it should be. And hopefully the parents are making intelligent choices.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can call it forcing unless you're going to use that language across the board.
Right. Yeah. And I totally agree with him saying that raising a kid vegan is not about forcing. It's not about coercion. It's about offering food and nourishment without violence and teaching them to care for all the beings that live on this planet.
Absolutely. And, from where I'm sitting, that's a pretty big win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought it would be good to, get our thoughts on this, even though we are childless cat people. Isn't that what we are being called?
We are. We are childless
cat ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But I've been around enough children and, I have a nephew that I've known since he was an infant and our niece since since she was an infant, that we've had those tough conversations or been around those tough conversations when kids ask, where their food is coming from, and you have to explain to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some animals out there that, sure, we love them and they're cute, but then we eat them.
Well, I mean, even at the Pittsburgh Veg Fest a couple weeks ago, we always have some literature from Vegan Outreach available at our booth so that folks who are, kind of browsing can just pick it up and take it with them.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And Lucy actually picked up one of the brochures and started reading it.
Yeah.
And she was horrified.
Yeah. She's like, why did I open this?
Yeah, exactly.
So that you can learn
what we're talking about. What we're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we explained to her, this is why we are vegan. The things that you're seeing in this pamphlet, this is why we are vegan.
Yeah.
It's not because we are trying to be contrary or we are trying to cause problems for anybody else.
Right.
This is why.
Right. It's not about the food. It's about having compassion for other living sentient beings.
Yes.
And in my opinion, all living beings have sentience. Whether we recognize it or not, that's our problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose we should move on to our main topic.
Let's do it. And we're looking at the fact that a vegan diet may begin changing gene activity.
Oh, we're turning into we're evolving into better human beings.
I can only hope so.
Yeah.
But that process may begin as early as 4 weeks after adopting a vegan diet.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's crazy. This is coming to us from SciTech Daily and is written by Lizelda Lopez from the University of California, San Diego. Changing what you eat may begin reshaping how your genes behave in as little as a few weeks, even though your DNA itself remains unchanged. In a randomized clinical trial, researchers found that healthy adults who followed a vegan diet for 1 month developed changes in chemical markers attached to their DNA. Compared with participants eating a meat-rich diet, the vegan group showed patterns associated with reduced inflammation, altered metabolism, and slower biological aging.
Yay!
This study, conducted by researchers at the University of California, San Diego, and the University of Freiburg in Germany, was published in MedCom. Our genes are not our destiny, said Jerome Mertens, PhD, Associate Professor of Neurosciences at UC San Diego School of Medicine and co-senior author of the study. The remarkable finding isn't simply that one diet outperformed another. It's that the epigenome responded measurably in just 4 weeks, showing that our biology is far more dynamic and responsive to everyday choices than we often assume. The study focused on the epigenome, a system of chemical signals that helps cells determine which genes should become more or less active. These signals do not rewrite the genetic code. They act more like instructions layered on top of it. One of the best studied epigenetic mechanisms is DNA methylation, in which small chemical tags attach to DNA. Depending on where they appear, these tags can affect gene activity. Diet, exercise, smoking, environmental exposures, and aging have all been linked to methylation patterns. However, it remains difficult to determine which changes directly improve health, which reflect other biological processes, and which are temporary. To investigate the effects of diet, the researchers examined blood samples from 48 healthy adults. Everyone first followed the same standardized diet for 1 week. Participants were then randomly assigned to either a vegan diet or a meat-rich diet for 1 month. Importantly, the two diets supplied similar numbers of calories. That design helped the scientists examine the effects of food composition without the results being primarily explained by calorie restriction or weight loss. The team compared more than 800,000 methylation sites across the genome before and after the intervention. Rather than searching only for dramatic changes in a few genes, the researchers looked for coordinated shifts across biological pathways. One of the clearest patterns involved the immune system. The methylation data suggested that people in the vegan group had lower proportions of neutrophils, immune cells that play an essential role in fighting infection but can contribute to damaging inflammation when their activity remains elevated. The analysis also predicted higher proportions of CD4 T cells, which help organize and regulate immune responses. These computer-based estimates closely matched blood cell counts collected during the original trial, strengthening the case that the methylation patterns reflected genuine biological changes rather than statistical noise. That agreement told us we weren't just seeing changes on a computer screen. We were detecting real and meaningful biological changes, said Lucas Karbacher, a neuroscience graduate student at UC San Diego School of Medicine and first author of the study. The finding may help explain why plant-based eating patterns are often associated with differences in inflammatory and cardiometabolic health. The researchers also identified increased methylation near the promoter regions of genes involved in cell growth and cancer-related pathways, including the mTOR and Hippo signaling systems. Promoters help control whether genes are activated, and greater methylation in these regions can sometimes reduce gene activity. The analysis also pointed to reduced activity in pathways involved in lipid metabolism. Other changes were associated with insulin signaling, DNA repair, and cellular responses to stress. Together, these findings suggest that the dietary intervention affected multiple systems rather than producing one isolated molecular change. The researchers also applied epigenetic clocks, mathematical tools that use DNA methylation patterns to estimate aspects of biological aging. Biological age is intended to describe how well or poorly the body is functioning compared with what might be expected from the number of years a person has lived. It is not a single, universally agreed upon measurement. Different clocks are built from different data and may emphasize disease risk, mortality, organ function, or chronological age. In this study, 2 clocks designed to predict health-related outcomes indicated a slowing of biological aging in the vegan group during the 1-month intervention. A 3rd clock, developed mainly to estimate chronological age, produced a different pattern. These findings reinforce the idea that not all measures of biological aging capture the same biology, said Mertens. The clocks associated with disease risk and overall health consistently pointed in the same direction, suggesting the dietary changes were influencing pathways tied to health rather than simply the passage of time. The latest study was small and brief. It included 48 healthy adults and lasted only 1 month. The methylation differences were modest and spread across a large number of genomic sites. Blood samples also provide only a partial picture. Epigenetic patterns can vary among the brain, liver, muscles, fat, and other tissues, so changes detected in blood may not occur in the same way throughout the body. Researchers will need larger and longer trials to learn whether the observed changes remain after several months or years, disappear when people resume their usual diets, or translate into meaningful improvements in health. Our study adds to growing evidence that nutrition can shape biology at the molecular level, said Max Stords, MD, of the University of Freiburg Medical Center and co-senior author of the study. The next step is to understand whether these epigenetic changes persist over time and whether they translate into meaningful improvements in long-term health. That will require larger clinical studies, but these findings provide an important foundation. Stords emphasized that the results appeared to reflect differences in diet composition rather than reduced calorie intake.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, in other words, we're all going to live forever. The vegans were.
No.
So if you have people in your circle that aren't fond of vegans, just let them know that's fine. We're going to outlive you. One thing I thought was a really good point made by this article was that we're not bound by our genetic faults. So, like, say in my family, I had heart disease. My mother had several types of cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Right.
Right. But you're not bound by that. You can change. I always say that this terrible gene pool ends with me. Because, I mean, it really does. I'm the last in my family. And since I don't have children,
you're not going to pass anything to them.
Yeah, I'm not going to pass my genes on to anybody. But also, it ends with me in the way that I eat.
Right.
My family I came from a large Italian family. Meat was like an essential part of our meals, and multiple meats.
Yeah.
So not eating those foods that not only encourage inflammation, but are linked to heart disease and artery disorders and all kinds of stuff.
Diabetes.
Yeah. I can honestly, and even my doctor agrees, that I can honestly say that I will not carry on. I will not become the people that my parents became when they were aging.
That's right. Because here you are in your 60s.
Yeah.
With no signs of diabetes.
Oh my God.
Or heart disease.
Knock on wood.
Or cancer.
I'm pounding on my own head. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, God forbid I have any of those conditions. And if I do, I mean, I will deal with them. But I think eating vegan, this is a great side effect of living a more compassionate life.
Absolutely.
Is that your food, if and this is, I'm assuming they don't go into detail about the food, but I'm assuming that it was all whole food, plant-based stuff, not replacers and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, because there are processed foods in the vegan world too.
Certainly.
And if that's all you're eating, you're going to encourage inflammation and whatnot with, the salts is a high sodium in a lot of those foods. But if you're sticking to mainly, no, it doesn't have to be 100%, but if you're sticking to mainly whole foods, you're definitely going to live longer,
Yeah, I mean, and that just makes sense because those types of foods, those whole foods, they are in line with what our physiology is designed to process.
Right. Yeah.
We are not carnivores. We are not even omnivores. So consumption of meat or dairy, etc., actually stresses our system more than is necessary.
Yeah.
And so, of course, is going to cause a cellular impact. That only makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're eating the things that our body is designed to process, then we're making it work less.
Yeah.
To essentially accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really kind of magnifies the fact that so few doctors are trained in nutrition and how food is medicine and how you can treat a lot of disorders with your diet. I'm not saying, if you have high blood pressure, stop taking your blood pressure medication.
No.
I'm saying that doctors don't nearly enough focus on what we're consuming.
Yeah. Oh, agreed.
Beyond, do you eat meat? I mean, they don't say, here's what you should be eating. Here's what you shouldn't be eating. I think they just assume that we all know what foods are bad for us and what foods are good for us. But a lot of people don't.
Well, and the thing is, it's like, even if we do know, we are silly beings, and we frequently make choices that are not in our own best interest.
Well, sure, because salt and fat and sugar taste good.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And you can have salt and fat and sugar on a vegan diet too. So.
You absolutely can.
Yeah. Yeah. So really interesting. And it is, like I said, it's just a great side effect of living this more compassionate life.
Yep. FYI, Pookie, your groceries were delivered.
Oh, we should probably do that because there's some frozen stuff.
Okay, so yes, pausing for groceries.
A few moments later.
It's now time for our favorite portion of the show.
It must be listener shout out time.
It's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's shout out goes to Casey from Socratic Hill Farm, who we met at the Pittsburgh Veg Fest last Saturday, and she told us that she listens to the show.
Yeah.
She and her partner Travis run a veganic farm that specializes in microgreens. And let me tell you, these microgreens are amazing.
Oh, they're so good. I wish we were closer to them.
Seriously. So good.
Yeah.
So we have, since the Veg Fest, tried their spicy microgreens.
Really good.
Which went on some tacos last week, which were absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
We've tried their 7-veg microgreens, which have been sprinkled on salads for the last week and then some.
Yeah.
And also their cantaloupe microgreens, which have this absolutely just gorgeous, slightly sweet taste to them.
Yep.
So good on sandwiches.
I had some on my breakfast sandwich this morning.
Ooh, how'd you like them?
That was good.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
They're really good. They're really tasty.
Yeah, they really are.
Microgreens are so good for you.
Yes, they
are.
have
so many more, whatever, polyphenols or whatever than the large plant has. It's amazing. Yeah. So, hey, thanks for listening, Casey. And please send us your T-shirt size and address so that we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag. You can text us using the link in our show notes or voicemail us. That's always good. I like to hear your voices. You can email us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or simply DM us on Instagram or Facebook.
And for the rest of you out there, if you would like a listener shout out, just contact us using the methods that Christine just mentioned. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you think of the show. We'd love to shout you out and send you some swag. And remember, you can also always nominate someone else for a shout out.
Yeah, share the love. Why not? I guess it's time to wrap this baby up. But before we go, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to the show if you haven't, and leave us a review if you can, and subscribe to our YouTube. Also, be sure and like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates about the show and pictures of vegan food. We'll be posting more now that Veg Fest is, season is in full swing. And if you want to get news about upcoming episodes, you can do that by subscribing to our weekly newsletter at our website, which is compassionandcucumbers.com.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 233 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Oh, yes, the podcast. Oh, sorry. Thanks, James.
The Manilow got her.
It did.
Yes.
Thanks, James.
Moved by the Manilow.
I was totally moved by Manilow.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We do. Please take care of each other. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The end.
CNN in. That's
CNN.
that's a lot of in.
Yeah. Did you hurt yourself?
Carry on. Right. What a great name.
Help sells. It's a lot of